Hello everyone, so here is Raman Kumar and one more time we are going to discuss on a very important topic. As you know that we are making continuous videos on various topics as we have started making topics and videos on one concept that is about trade across the world. So as you know we have made three parts of this concept. So we are going to discuss now why did the explorers go on long voyages. So voyages in the sense the people who used to do traveling by the sea, that is called voyages. So today we will look into the exact information how the people in the past did business by going through in the ship. So let's start now. So I would like to start first with the sailors. The sailors from the 15th century sailed into the unknown for adventure. Of the travelogue of Marco Polo, the son of Taylor in Venice, became known for trading and seafaring countries. A lot of sailors went out on expeditions on behalf of their kings. Others were supported by businessmen who hoped to find faster routes to the valuable goods in faraway Asia. One looked for a sea route around the southern tip of Africa. Columbus sailed across the Atlantic. The James Cook sailed in the South Pacific. An attempt was made later to find a sea route called the Northwest Passage through the Arctic Ocean connecting the Atlantic and the Pacific Oceans. So next question comes, why did the travelogue of Marco Polo have so much influence? So let me explain to you what is travelogue. So travelogue in the sense it is one kind of map which used to depict a lot of things and about a lot of geographical areas in the form of various things. So that is called travelogue. So why did the travelogue of Marco Polo have so much influence? As I spoke to you that Marco Polo discovered and Marco Polo made a travelogue, and it was very famous among the people in those days. So when the travelogue of Marco Polo, who traveled to Asia with his father and his uncle, became known in Europe, not much was known about Asia. Marco Polo's travelogue talked about foreign people and countries, colorful palaces, fine spices, precious stones, banknotes, and other exotic goods were also described. And tasked by these descriptions, a few European royal houses wanted to start trade with these rich areas. Soon the distances specifications given by Marco Polo were transferred to maps, and the European sailors and traders started exploring East Asia. So for your knowledge, I would like to tell you about 200 years after Marco Polo, the Europeans ventured out in the world, and in around 1520, Magellan was the first one to undertake a voyage around the world. And as I talked about Columbus, so let me next we will see what was Columbus looking for. So Christopher Columbus wanted to find sea route to China, Southeast Asia, for the Spanish kings to get precious goods like silk and spices that came from these regions. The existing trading route and silk route went overland and crossed the areas under Muslim rule. The caravans found it difficult to pass these areas, and then there were also middlemen who had to be paid. In August 1492, Columbus sailed with the three ships, and in October he landed on an island in the Bahamas. For the rest of his life, he believed that he had reached Asia and did not know anything about the new continent of America that he had discovered. So Columbus was completely unknown that what he was discovering for, and who was the first to sail around the southern tip of Africa. So the Portuguese sailor Bartolome Diaz was the first one to sail around the southern tip of Africa. His king had given him the task of finding the southernmost tip of Africa, to sail around it and try to find a trade route to India. He started in 1487 and had to turn back after reaching the eastern Cape in South Africa. It was only on his return voyage did Diaz notice that he had sailed around the southern tip of the African continent. With this voyage, the spice route to India became possible. In 1497, 9 years after the return of Diaz, Vasco da Gama started to sail to India with a fleet. It was not easy to cross the Indian Ocean controlled by the Arabian traders, but he was able to do it. So this man was really courageous and he did in his life, and he passed that Indian Ocean, although he knew that was controlled by Arabian traders. So next comes James Cook. Why did James Cook sail to the South Sea? James Cook traveled to the South Sea in the Pacific Ocean 3 times on assignments from the British government. It was the first voyage between 1768 and 1771 that made him famous. With his ship Endeavour, he brought scientists to Tahiti. So Tahiti is one of the largest islands in French Polynesia, who wanted to observe the passage of the planet Venus in front of the sun. So this was supposed to be helpful in calculating that distance between the Earth and Sun. Map makers had always assumed that there was a continent in the south, but James Cook discovered it on April 28th, set foot upon the eastern coast of Australia and took possession of the continent as his land. So why did one look for Northwest Passage? The search for the Northwest Passage was effectively to find a new trade route to Asia, although the Portuguese Ferdinand Magellan has already discovered the route around South America in 1519-1520. It was still a very long and dangerous route. Therefore, for almost 500 years, numerous expeditions were sent out to North America to find a route through the Arctic ice. The British explorer Sir John Franklin went missing after his third attempt. In an attempt to find him, Robert McClure discovered that last piece of the passage in 1845. The passage was traveled completely for the first time by Norwin Roald Amundsen in 1903-1906. He also discovered the South Pole later.